You can't beat me, Lila. The sentence lands like a paper cut, small, efficient, and annoyingly precise. I look up from a sea of briefs, my screen washing my face in courthouse blue, and find him leaning in the doorway, as if the building were designed to frame him. Rafe. The new golden boy, the competitor I didn't ask for and definitely don't have time to admire. Watch me, I say, because my mouth has a faster reflex than my common sense. He smiles. Not warm, not cold, just calibrated. Funny. That's exactly why I want you. Want me? I arch a brow. The printer behind me coughs out another page like it's hacking up a hairball. You might want to workshop your threats. HR gets weird about those. Relax, he says, stepping inside. The office is a glass aquarium at this hour. 41st floor views. City pinned to the windows like a glittering specimen. And me, the nocturnal fish swimming in deadlines. I want you in the race, fully engaged. It's not interesting otherwise. Good, I say. Then you won't mind losing, by all means. Surprise me. He's in a charcoal suit that makes him look like a shadow with opinions. Crisp white shirt, narrow tie, a glint of cufflinks at his wrists. There's something too still about him, like the air hasn't decided to cling to him yet. He smells faintly of cedar and rain, a fresh front rolling in kind of scent. It's August. There hasn't been rain in a week. I push a stack of deposition transcripts aside and take a breath that tastes like burnt coffee. If you're here for office small talk, try the associate's floor. They still believe the espresso machine is a god. I'm here, he says, to borrow your precedent memo. It's on the drive. I want your copy. He nods at the pages marked up in my handwriting. Blue ink, precise slashes, court citations circled like prey. Yours has character. Character is how you spell obsessive with nicer letters. He doesn't disagree. I slide the memo to the far corner of my desk and point at it like it's a stray dog. You can look. No stealing. I don't steal, he says, and his mouth tilts, the slightest seam opening in his control. I balance. What does that even? Ms. Hart. Jamie, our summer intern, hover knocks on the already open glass. She's 19 and all elbows, clutching a binder bigger than her torso. Do you still need the... Oh. She sees Rafe and straightens like the presence of a rare predator requires better posture. Hi. The client file you flagged? She says, turning back to me. I, recorded the calls into the timeline, and I sent the discovery requests, and... Did you? I ask, already glancing at my inbox. No outgoing draft from her. My stomach tightens. Rafe doesn't speak, he doesn't move, but the room shifts, barely. Like someone adjusted the dimmer on the truth. Jamie swallows. I was about to. There was a toner gem, the one we fixed at 6. I keep my voice even. Oh, right, not that. Another gem, I could call her out. I should. The promotion committee doesn't grade on kindness curves, but something in the way. She stares at the binder, not me. Makes the reprimand catch behind my teeth. Rafe's eyes, a clear, unpretending gray. Don't leave her face. Is that true, Jamie? His tone is neutral, not scolding, not soft. Neutral like a ruler laid flat. She tries to nod. It comes out as a shake. No, she says, breath shivering. I panicked. The request template has like 12 attachments and I wanted to triple check. I'll do it now. Thank you, I say, gentler than I intended. Send me a draft before it goes out. She flees. The room exhales. I turn back to Rafe. Do you keep menthol honesty mints in your pocket, I ask? Or was that a Jedi trick? Not a trick. He looks at the city like it's a ledger he's reconciling. She didn't want to lie to you. That helped. I didn't say she wanted to. I said she did. He looks at me. Really looks. It's clinical and curious and, not that I'll admit this later, oddly respectful. You're tired. I'm efficient, I say. You're exhausted, he corrects, eyes flicking to the 3 half-empty cups on my desk, the blister forming on my heel from heels I've worn too long. The way I roll my wrists after hours at a keyboard. And still sharp. It's almost impressive. Almost? It would be fully impressive if you'd eaten anything besides vending machine peanuts since noon. I hate that he's right. What do you want, Rafe? Fairness, he says. The word is crisp enough to cut, and your memo, I slide it over properly this time. He takes it with the care of someone lifting a violin from its case. If our firm, Barton & Wells, worships anything, it's excellence dressed in restraint. He wears both like they were tailored. He skims the first page and makes a soft sound that isn't quite approval. Your argument on the implied covenant. You're going to lead with this? Yes. Everyone else will expect promissory estoppel. Everyone else doesn't know the CFO's deposition transcript as well as I do. True. He sets the memo down, a finger on the margin where I've starred a section. He lied at 10:42. The cough. And the eyes. I blink. You read micro-expressions now? Sometimes people tell you what they are without knowing they are telling you. You memorize the timestamp. I remember patterns. So you're Rain Man in a hedge fund in a suit. He smiles lazily. And you're a hurricane with a filing system. The AC hums, steady as a heartbeat behind walls. Below us, the city's arteries flicker, traffic stitching through darkness, windows blinking out, 1,000 lives doing dishes and fighting and making up. I've always loved this hour. The office thins to bone and sinew, all the posturing falls away. It's just work and will. Let's get something straight, I say. I earned my place here. Years of fending off men who took my summary judgment wins as accidents. I don't lose to luck or compliments. I don't lose to you. You think I'm luck? I think you're a test. I lean back, stretch my neck, feel the small pop-pop of vertebrae realigning. I pass tests. Then let's be precise. He steps closer, elbows on the edge of my desk like we're two conspirators leaning over a map. His voice lowers. I'm not here to take your seat, Lila. I'm here to make sure whoever takes it deserves it. If that's you, I won't stand in your way. That altruism would sound better if it didn't come with cheekbones sharp enough to commit battery. Altruism isn't the word, he says. The lights above us hum, a cool fluorescence that makes his irises look like steel shavings. Balance is closer. Something in my chest thrums, a harp string plucked by a hand I don't recognize. He's too composed, too observant, too everything. A thought tiptoes in and sits down with its legs swinging. What are you, really? I file it under later. I have a draft motion due at 8. Fine, I say. If you're here to observe that I'm ahead. And that's not changing, then I'll enjoy the view. He straightens, and for a heartbeat there's a flicker on his face. Not amusement, not pity, something edged, like the gleam on a scale. Then it's gone. Don't enjoy it too much, I say. HR might have another note. Duly noted, he murmurs. Jamie reappears, cheeks pink, with a printed draft and a USB drive like a peace offering. Fix the attachments, can you? Email it, I say, and leave the drive. Good job owning it. Her shoulders drop a centimeter in relief. Thanks, Ms. Hart. After she's gone, Rafe's gaze follows the door as if the truth left a residual trail. You could have humiliated her. I could have, I agree. But that's not how you build people you want to rely on, and you will rely on her. When I'm partner, I say, because saying it out loud makes it more than a private superstition. He inclines his head, as if I've offered a fair term and he's countersigning. Then I'll see you at the 7 a.m. status. Wear a weaker tie, I say. Your current one is making me feel underdressed. It's just thread, like your self-awareness. He laughs, quiet, surprised. It warms the room 5 degrees. Good night, Lila. Good night, Rafe. When he leaves, the silence expands and settles, comfortable as an old sweater. I turn back to my screen and type until the words stop tangling and start aligning. Outside, the city keeps glittering like a promise I mean to collect. At 12:14 a.m., I send the draft, finish my notes, and shut down the monitor. The window throws my reflection back at me, hair in a messy knot, lipstick long gone, eyes sharp enough to cauterize. I press my palm to the glass, the city cool beneath my skin. I will win, even if he's the devil. The courthouse smells like lemon polish and old grudges. I stand at counsel table, spine tall, hair tamed into a knot that could pick a lock, and tell the judge why our motion should be granted as if I've slept, eaten, and believed in mercy. The opposing counsel, Barnett, whose cologne announces itself like a closing argument, smiles the way men smile right before they underestimate you. Our position is simple, Your Honor, I say. The implied covenant of good faith isn't ornamental. It binds parties to more than technical compliance. It binds them to honesty. Barnett's smile widens. Beautiful rhetoric. But if counsel is done auditioning for a TED Talk, I don't let him finish. Page 9 of our brief. The CFO's deposition at 10:42 a.m. He coughs, averts, says, "I don't recall authorizing those transfers." Then the email. I slide the highlighted exhibit across. He recalled enough to click send. The judge looks over his glasses, then at the exhibit, then at me. "Miss Hart, you're asking me to infer intent from a cough." "I'm asking you to infer intent from a lie," I say, pulse steady. The cough just waved at it. Barnett glides to the lectern like a man arriving fashionably late to humility. "Your Honor, if opposing counsel is quite finished discovering psychosomatic telltales, I'd direct the court to her Appendix B. Specifically, the cases she cites to support this expansive reading of good faith." He pauses, basking. "Two of those cases," Barnett says, tapping his faux concern into the mic, "were reversed. Last month, a soft collective intake. I feel it like a drop in an elevator. I don't blink. We cited them for the lower court's reasoning, which remains instructive. The instructive kind that gets overturned." He purrs. I breathe through the burn behind my ribs. Appendix B. I compiled it at midnight, then handed it to Noah to triple check. Noah of the careful eyes and sticky notes. Noah whose desk has baobab trees of citations growing from it. Noah who texted me at 2 a.m. on it. "You sleep." I didn't. Apparently neither did his integrity. "Counsel," the judge says, "will submit supplemental authority today," I say evenly. With updated citations. My voice doesn't tremble, my hands don't shake. I cross a leg and the heel of my shoe nicks the wood, audible as a bead of sweat. Barnett bows to the court, smugness balanced like a silver tray. We look forward to seeing which cases are still standing. We finish the round. The judge takes it under advisement with all the warmth of a statute. When the gavel's echo loses interest, I stack my files and head for the aisle, every step precise. The room buzzes. Praise and pity sound very alike if you listen wrong. In the hallway, glass and marble conspire to amplify footsteps. Rafe falls into stride beside me as if summoned by the geometry of my fury. "You held him," he says. "I held a punching bag," I reply. "Both are useful training," he murmurs. We move past a window where the city is too bright for this early, the sky a washed-out blue that makes everything look underlined. I'm aware of my heartbeat in the hinge of my jaw. "Your Appendix B," he says, eyes forward. "Who checked it?" I can feel the shape of Noah's name in my mouth like a cut you keep touching with your tongue. "I did, and I had it reviewed. By?" "Stop cross-examining me in a corridor," I snap. He lets the silence sit. It's not smug. It's the kind that makes room for a choice. I hate that too. Noah is waiting by the elevators when we turn the corner, phone in hand, tie slightly off, smile arranged. "There you are," he says bright. "How did it—" "Reversals," I say. His smile tries to hang on, then remembers gravity. I must have pulled an old shepherd's," he laughs, "too high." "Happens." Rafe watches him as if the air around Noah is speaking a language only he hears. "Did you share our brief?" I ask, each word engineered. "With anyone outside?" "What? No." He shakes his head too hard. "Of course not. You know me, do I?" Barnett anticipated my argument, I say. He doesn't usually anticipate anything except his own reflection. I didn't share anything. Noah's eyes are wet glass wide. The elevator arrives. He doesn't step in. "Lila, come on." For what it's worth, Rafe says, still mild. The reversal comment was bait. He wanted your temper, not your footnote. I don't give bait, I say. I eat it for breakfast. Noah's laugh dies in his throat. I'll fix it, he says. I'll update and file the supplemental. You'll send me the draft, I say. I'll file it. He nods, swallows. Right. When he leaves, Rafe looks at my face for a long beat. You don't believe him. I don't disbelieve him, I say. I am aggressively pending. You'll find out soon. He presses the elevator button like an afterthought. Truth has a half-life. Is that your daily affirmation? Do you iron it onto your ties? I don't wear affirmations, he says. They wrinkle. Back at the firm, the war room hums. Associates ping between printers and coffee like electrons around a nucleus made of panic. The partners have assembled. The Pantheon in expensive navy. Whitford, whose eyebrows have tenure. Delgado, whose nods are currency. We file in with our binders like supplicants. Barnett made you look green, Whitford says before the door fully closes. Subtlety has never been his cardio. Reversed cases? Amateur hour? I've got updated sites, I say, sliding a fresh list to the center of the table. We'll file before lunch. Rafe's expression doesn't change, but the room adjusts. I'm not the only one who feels it. Heads tilt, glances snag. Delgado folds her hands. Let's focus. Did anyone speak with Barnett after the hearing? I did, Whitford says too quickly. He was rattled. Were you? Rafe asks, tone light, the question wearing a joke like a loose coat. Whitford flicks him a look. Excuse me? You said you spoke to Barnett, Rafe continues, almost conversational. But you left the courthouse at 9:31. He didn't exit until 9:48. Different doors, different elevators. Unless New York added teleportation to its infrastructure this morning, you didn't meet. A thin pause. Someone's pen stops scratching. Whitford's color moves from courtroom beige to auditorium red. I called him later. On the number you don't have, Rafe says, still pleasant. Delgado's gaze sharpens. Michael? Whitford opens his mouth, closes it. He chooses a worse lie, then flinches away from it like a hot pan. Fine, he snaps. I didn't talk to him. He looked rattled from where I stood, all right? Rafe smiles, barely. It's not triumphant, it's relieved, like a scale finally reading 0. Delgado turns back to me. Get the supplemental filed. And Lila, good catch on the CFO's timestamp. Thank you, I say, ignoring the way Whitford studies his coffee like it betrayed him too. When the partners disperse, the associates exhale. The war room returns to its natural state, paper tides and caffeine worship. I head for my office with Rafe a step behind me, because that's the choreography the day has chosen. You have a talent for making liars allergic to themselves, I say without looking back. So do you, he says. You're just nicer about it. I'm selective. Besides, what was that with Whitford? If Delgado asks how you knew, she won't, he says. How can you be sure? He hesitates, and for once it isn't performance. Because people don't ask for the recipe when the cake looks good. I stop in my doorway. You read Barnett's body language. You knew Whitford lied. The hallway blurs a little at the edges, like heat above asphalt. This is me being a rational adult. A rational adult asks, are you human? Human? His mouth tilts. Aren't we all aspiring to it? That's not a no. No, he agrees gently. A laugh escapes me, shredded around the edges. You know that's not an answer. You know you don't want it. Yet. He leans a shoulder against my doorframe, loose, as if gravity treats him like a colleague. File your supplemental, Lila. Then we can discuss metaphysics. Over coffee? Over something stronger than Barnett's cologne, he says. I sink into my chair, the leather sighing like it knows too much. My hands hover over the keyboard, then land. Citations, updates, parentheticals. I triage the mess until it becomes a map again. This is the part I trust. The part where facts line up obediently because I make them. Half an hour in, my email pings. From Noah, updated cases attached. Again, I'm sorry. A second later, another ping, from an external address I don't recognize. Saw you in court. Thought you'd want to know Barnett's team got your brief early. Anonymous. A file attached, a screenshot. Our brief's file name, the timestamp, the sender, Noah. The room tilts, subtle as a ship changing lanes. My jaw goes cold first, then my hands. I click the door lock, not because I'm afraid, but because I need the click. A knock, careful. Rafe's voice through the glass. Lila? I open. I am composed because the alternative would be messy, and I don't bleed where sharks can smell it. He steps inside, reads my face like text. You got something. An answer, I say. To a question I wasn't ready to ask, he waits. It feels like standing in clean air after a storm. Noah, send our brief, I say. The night before filing, Rafe nods once, as if the world has clicked into the next notch on its gear. You're going to confront him. I'm going to file, I say. Then I'm going to confront him. And then, I say, surprisingly calm, I'm going to win. His eyes warm by a single degree. Even if I'm the devil? Especially if, I say. The words fit like a custom suit. He inclines his head. I'll be at the door if you want a witness. I don't need a witness, I say, turning back to my screen. I need a win. Luckily, he murmurs, you have both. When he leaves, I draft the supplemental and send it with a click that sounds like a verdict. Outside my window, the city goes about its glittering rituals. Inside, the first crack has opened. Light gets through cracks, I remind myself. So does everything else. The conference room on the 39th floor is a cathedral of glass. The city sprawls below, cranes and scaffolds like metal ribs, taxis flickering through arteries of traffic. Inside, Barton and Wells has staged another altar to power, brushed steel table, bottled water in neat ranks, projection screen humming with bullet points no one will remember. Clients are seated, suits worth more than my law school debt, and I'm at the head with my binder, pretending my pulse isn't already irritated by the man across the table. Rafe. He sits like gravity bends toward him. Perfect suit, hair in place, expression cut from marble. He's the kind of competitor who doesn't need to prove anything, because the universe apparently bent over backwards to make him inevitable. I clear my throat. So as you'll see, our revised strategy ensures your liability exposure is not only minimized but repositioned as leverage for negotiations. Or, Rafe says smoothly, we could approach it from fiduciary duty, which prevents the opposition from crying foul on disclosure. I glance at him, sharp as a cross-exam. That's cute. Except fiduciary duty doesn't immunize them from breach claims. Cute, he echoes, as if trying the word on. His mouth tilts. You must think I'm adorable. The clients chuckle nervously, not sure if they're watching litigation strategy or a rom-com trailer. I don't miss a beat. Adorable is when your brief cites outdated cases. Remember those? His smile sharpens. I remember correcting them. It's fencing, this back and forth, every parry sharper than the last. Except, instead of bruises, the room fills with heat. Even the clients feel it. Half of them keep glancing between us, the way you watch two storms converging on the radar. One of them, Mr. Adler, clears his throat. I think what matters is whichever of you makes us win. Exactly, I say, folding my hands. Which will be me, us, Rafe corrects lightly. She means us. The laughter is polite, brittle. My chest feels like it's housing a small wildfire. We walk through the case, trading barbs disguised as insight. I lean into clarity and precision. He leans into inevitability, like the law itself would bend rather than argue with him. And yet, when I challenge, he yields just enough to make me look sharper. It's infuriating. It's intoxicating. Then it happens. One of the junior executives, a smug 20-something in a too-tight tie, tries to explain away a suspicious ledger entry. His words spill out oily, rehearsed, and something in the air shifts. I glance at Rafe. His eyes aren't gray now. They flare, faint but unmistakable, like molten metal catching light. Only for a second, but I see it. The exec falters mid-sentence, as if the lie has tripped him by the ankle. He stutters, flushes, corrects himself. What I meant is, we should recheck those numbers. No one else reacts. The clients shuffle papers, murmur. But I sit frozen. I saw it, I know I did. By the time I blink, Rafe's eyes are ordinary again. Calm, calculating, unreadable. Except they're not unreadable to me anymore. I've cracked the code. He doesn't just argue law. He bends truth. The meeting wraps. The client's appeased by our tag team performance. Adler shakes both our hands, muttering something about being glad we're on his side. As the room clears, Rafe lingers by the window, watching the Hudson like it owes him answers. I pack my binder slower than necessary, pulse a triphammer. Finally he turns. His voice is low, private. You saw, didn't you? I grip my pen too tight. Saw what? You already know. His gaze doesn't waver. It's not smug this time, it's almost curious, like he's testing whether I'll admit to myself what I saw. I laugh brittle. Saw you glare a guy into confessing? Impressive party trick. It wasn't a glare, he says. What was it then? Proof. He steps closer. And suddenly the room feels smaller than it did with 20 people in it. That lies don't stand long in my presence. The hair on my arms lifts, traitorous. That's a hell of a thing to say. Hell of a thing, he repeats, and the corner of his mouth tilts, like he knows the pun landed. I shove my papers into my bag, faster than necessary. You know what, Rafe? Keep your metaphors. I have depositions to prep, but when I step into the hallway my legs feel unsteady in a way closing arguments never make them. We reconvene that evening at the client dinner, because corporate law is nothing without overpriced steak and performative wine lists. The restaurant is all mahogany paneling and low amber light, chandeliers dripping like molten honey. I sit across from Adler, deliberately not next to Rafe, which of course means he slides into the chair beside me. His sleeve brushes mine. He doesn't apologize. The clients chatter about markets and mergers. I nod, smile, sip. But my focus is a gravitational problem at my right. Your cross on indemnity was sharp, Adler says to me. Thank you. And your fiduciary angle, he adds, nodding at Rafe, balanced it perfectly. Rafe inclines his head. Lila makes balance possible. I choke on my water. Don't quote me in your thank you notes. The table laughs, but he doesn't. He just watches me, steady, like he can read the flickers behind my sarcasm. I excuse myself after dessert, stepping into the cool night air where taxis line up like chess pieces. The city buzzes, neon reflecting in puddles from an afternoon rain I hadn't noticed. Footsteps behind me. Of course. Why do I feel like you followed me? I ask without turning. Because you saw, he says simply. I face him. The streetlight cuts his features into shadow and steel. So what if I did? Then you know I'm not what I seem. That's an understatement. My laugh sounds sharper than I mean. What are you, Rafe? His eyes glint, not human, not explainable. Someone who can't lie. Someone who can't stand lies. That sounds exhausting. It is, he admits, surprising me. For the first time his voice carries not arrogance but weight. Loneliness, maybe. I cross my arms because if I don't, I might step closer. Well, congratulations, you've officially upgraded, from annoying coworker to unsolvable problem. Enemy or ally? He asks, and the way he says it makes my skin prickle. I haven't decided yet, I whisper. He smiles faintly. Neither have I. The taxi lights flash. The city hums. And for the first time since he walked into my office, I feel something dangerous coil beneath the rivalry. Curiosity. And attraction I can't afford. By 5 the day's already a bruise. By 7 it blossoms. It starts with an email that pings like a tiny grenade. Their risk map. I click because I am a raccoon for shiny subject lines, and because this sender is Ava. Ava Park. My best friend from law school. The person who held my hair back after my first oral argument, and my first tequila night, in that order. The person who replies to my midnight spirals with hydrate and a spreadsheet. The email isn't to me, it's to adam.barnett@wexlerhaynes.com. She's attached my risk map deck, the one I built like a cathedral at 2 in the morning. Every column a stained glass window of "here's how they'll try to kill us." Autocomplete did me a favor. It CC'd me instead of Adam. Sending this along, hope it helps Mark's approach. Their lead just loves covenant theories. Don't say I said that. For a second, I don't understand the language. My brain translates each word separately and refuses to assemble the sentence. Then the meaning drops through me like a manhole cover. I reply with a period, because my options are a period, a scream, or arson. Her phone rings me 30 seconds later. "Lila," Ava says, already breathless. "This looks, okay, it looks bad." "Because it is bad," I say, very calmly, which means the emergency sprinkler system in my chest has gone off. "You sent Barnett my deck." "Not, Mark is dating someone at Wexler and I was just, he asked me hypothetically how your firm would frame. I didn't think." "You didn't think to not forward my strategy to the other side?" "I thought it was harmless." "Lila, it's not like I handed over a gun. It's a map of where you'd put the gun." She laughs, tiny, terrified. "Sorry, that was—" "Don't finish that sentence." "I'm sorry," she says, the words spilling. I'm so sorry. Don't hate me. I want to, God, I want to snap the bridge of our friendship like a brittle twig and listen to the crack." "I don't hate you," I say, "because I'm not a liar. I can't talk to you right now." I hang up, mute the phone, and sit until my hands stop shaking. Then I get up, because the alternative is shattering something that belongs to the firm, and we've already had enough liability for one day. The bar 2 blocks down is lit like a confession booth. Everything is amber and shadow, the kind of place where old jazz finds its way to the speakers and the ice cubes are enormous on purpose. I order rye and sit in a corner that can see the door. I tell myself I'm here to breathe. I tell myself I'm not waiting for anything. Rafe walks in like inevitable learned to open a door. He spots me as if he'd been tracking my gravity and slides onto the stool across. "You look like someone stole your closing and replaced it with an inspirational quote." "Closer," I say. "Someone stole my map and called it a favor." His brow moves a millimeter. For him, that's flinching. "Who?" "My best friend," I say, "and hydrate with whiskey." "And if you repeat that sentence, I'll sue you for cruel and unusual recital." He doesn't ask for details. He doesn't apologize for her. He just looks at me, really looks, the way he did in the conference room when the junior exec smeared oil on the truth. "You're hurt. Congratulations on your psych minor." "You're angry," he amends. "And you're hurt." I'm both, I admit. Because the rye is honest, and so is the ache under my sternum. "And I'm curious." His mouth tilts. "About? How you're always a step ahead. How you knew Whitford lied this morning. How a 22-year-old exec couldn't finish a lie in front of you if you stapled the cue cards to his tongue." I lean in. "What are you, Rafe?" He watches me for a beat, the bar's awful Edison bulbs reflecting in his irises like little suns trapped in orbit. His voice drops, careful. "You saw," he says again, not a question. "I saw a flash." I keep my tone flat. "And then I saw a lie fall apart." He considers, then nods toward the bartender. "Let's make this easy." The bartender wanders over, forearms tattooed, towel over shoulder. "You good?" Rafe smiles politely. He could sell courtesy by the ounce. "We are. But I think our check has a problem." The bartender blinks. "You haven't asked for it yet." Rafe's smile doesn't change. "When you bring it, it will have a problem." The bartender looks at him, then at me. I spread my hands, humor him. He disappears, returns with a leather booklet. I open it. There it is, a large party, service charge. A neat 20%, slid in like a Trojan horse. We are not a large party. We are 2 people, and an elephant of tension. "Hey," I say, very evenly. "We're a party of 2. The bartender glances down and flushes. "Right, sorry." He rubs his jaw, suddenly ashamed of something that was, moments ago, confident. "I don't know why We're not supposed to add that unless it's 6 or more. I was short on tips earlier and..." That's not your problem. I'll fix it. He takes the check and vanishes like a man rethinking his career. I turn back, the ice in my glass ticking like a clock. Parlor trick, I say, because I need it to be. You read his tells. I don't read tells, Rafe says softly. I read lies. You make people confess because what? Your cheekbones are subpoenas? Because I'm built for it, he says, like he's telling me his height. Because I don't get to ignore it when balance tips. Because sometimes the ledger needs a hand. The world helpfully chooses that moment to tilt. My body registers goosebumps like a weather alert. Ledger, I repeat. Balance. Justice is a word people use when they mean outcome I prefer, he says, gaze steady. I'm not interested in preference. I am alignment, correction if you like. Most days it feels like janitorial work with worse par. He says it without drama, without the flourish of a magician, just a fact lodged in the throat of the night. I laugh, a raw sound. You expect me to believe you're, what, an angel of spreadsheets? He almost smiles. Not an angel. The silence opens its jacket and shows me the truth under it. Say it, I whisper. A demon, he says. No thunder, no violin sting. Just the word, set carefully on the table between us like a knife and a loaf of bread. Of justice if you need a department. Of balance if you prefer the math. I stare until my eyes water and the bartender returns with a corrected check and a glass of water he didn't charge for. Thanks, I say hoarsely. He nods and wanders off, tugged by some gravity of his own. You could have lied, I say finally, because I am Lila Hart, and if there is a blood type beyond O+, it's T+ for truth. You could have said you're just very observant. You could have gaslit me into thinking I imagined the light in your eyes. I don't lie, he says, and I won't gaslight you. Not you. Special treatment? Respect, he says simply. The word hits somewhere between my collarbone and my mouth. Hell of a boundary for a demon. There are worse reputations, he says. Yours does not yield. I like it. Against my will, a laugh escapes, tinny and mean at the edges, but undeniably real. You're trying to make me like you, I accuse. No, he says. I'm trying to make you see me. Liking is your problem. I look at the door where the city's night presses its face against the glass. I look at him, where the truth sits like iron filings pulled into shape by a magnet I didn't know the name of until now. Ava, I say, because the name is a wound and I keep touching it. She said it was harmless, that she was helping her boyfriend, that she didn't think. She thought, he says gently. She just didn't think about you. There it is. The simple anatomy of betrayal, not malice, indifference. How do you live with what you are, I ask, because if we're carving truth tonight, I want the whole shape. Doesn't it get heavy, being a scale all the time? It does. His voice is almost kind, and then sometimes I meet someone who makes it feel less like punishment. Who? The bartender with the service charge? He lets out a breath that could almost be a laugh. Someone who doesn't flinch when I don't pretend. That lands so squarely I feel my posture adjust. Don't use me as your absolution. I won't, he says, quick, earnest. I don't want absolution. I want a fair fight. Enemy or ally, I ask, the question backlit now, richer, stranger. Yes, he says. I sign the corrected check, my hand steadier than it has any right to be. When we step onto the sidewalk, the air is cool and salt-tinged from the river. The city hums like a big animal asleep and dreaming of deadlines. He walks me to the corner because he's a gentleman, or because he understands flanking, I'm not sure which. A cab slows, assesses, departs. We stand in the streetlight's pale spotlight, two silhouettes and a problem. You're not human, I say softly. Because the night deserves the truth spoken plainly into it. No, he says. He doesn't apologize for it. My main rival isn't human, I think, and the words don't feel like surrender. They feel like a starting line. Tomorrow, he says, and it's not a promise so much as a weather report. You'll still have your case, you'll still have your anger. And you'll have a choice. What choice is that? Whether to use what I am, he says, or beat me without it. The cab behind him flips on its light. I could get in. I could go home and call Ava and break a friendship, or tie it in a knot and pretend it holds. I could sleep. I could not sleep. Good night, Rafe, I say. Good night, Lila, he answers, and for the first time his voice sounds not like marble but like something that remembers heat. I slide into the cab and watch him through the glass as the city carries me away. He doesn't move until we turn the corner. The night swallows him. My pulse slows. I believe him. God help me, I believe him. The hearing room hums with recycled air and mutual suspicion. Nameplates gleam under fluorescent lights. I arrange my files on counsel table like armor. Across the aisle, Barnett polishes his glasses with the smug focus of a man who thinks lint is an opponent. Judge Morales takes the bench at 9 sharp. On the motion calendar, Wexler Haynes's request to disqualify Miss Hart as lead counsel for Barton and Wells. Her gaze sweeps the room, neutral as granite. Appearances? We rattle them off. When it's my turn, my voice is steady enough to set clocks by. Lila Hart for plaintiff, Your Honor. A chair slides beside me. Rafael Hale, co-counsel. His tone is quiet even. I don't look at him, but the air near my right arm changes temperature, like someone opened a window onto weather. I didn't ask for him. I didn't need him. That's what I told myself in the elevator. The truth sits at my ribs and lifts an eyebrow. Barnett stands, all confident creases and cologne. Your Honor, Miss Hart is a fact witness to a leak of her own work product to our firm. We cannot ethically proceed while she leads this case. We move to disqualify her, or at minimum, to require her firm to reassign. Judge Morales turns to me. Miss Hart? I rise. The so-called leak originated outside my firm. The document in question never left my custody through me. Opposing counsel has not demonstrated actual prejudice or a necessity to call me as a witness. Barnett's smile widens. And yet, Exhibit A. He lifts a printed screenshot. My risk map file name, a timestamp, a sender's address that makes my molars ache. Noah.lane@bartonwells.com. My stomach drops, then corrects. I know the other screenshot, the one I've locked away, shows Noah forwarding after receiving it externally first. The chain is messier than his paper implies. Barnett oozes toward the mic. We also submit declarations indicating Miss Hart's close relationship with the outside party believed to have facilitated this exchange. He doesn't say Ava's name. He doesn't have to. The insinuation lands like a sticky note, yellow, obvious, hard to scrape off. Before I can respond, a chair groans behind us. Whitford rises from the second row, smoothing his suit with hands that love mirrors. Your Honor, he says, projecting gravitas he didn't earn this morning. Michael Whitford for Barton and Wells, senior partner. We take these allegations very seriously. In the interest of propriety, the firm is prepared to reassign lead to me. Temporarily, he adds, as if benevolence were a product he's pitching. We don't concede any wrongdoing, but appearance matters. My throat tightens so fast my breath hits a wall. He didn't warn me. He didn't even look at me. Mentor, once. The man who taught me to double space and slit throats with footnotes. Now he's offering me up like a decorative casualty. Rafe speaks before my voice returns. Your Honor. Judge Morales lifts a hand. Who is speaking? Rafael Hale, co-counsel. He steps to the lectern with a precision that implies he planned this 2 days ago. The remedy of disqualification is drastic and disfavored. Wexler Haynes has not shown that Miss Hart's testimony is indispensable. The email they've produced does not establish that Miss Hart is the source of any leak. It shows Mr. Lane forwarded something he received from outside. If anyone is a potential witness, it's Mr. Lane, or the outside party. Barnett chuckles, smarm curdling. Convenient to throw your associate under the bus, Mr. Hale. Facts don't ride buses, Rafe says gently. They ride the record. Whitford clears his throat, theatrical. Again, Your Honor, our concern is the appearance. Mr. Whitford, Judge Morales says, her tone dipping a degree. I understand your firm's concern, but I decide based on law, not optics. Rafe nods, almost imperceptibly, as if the balance just ticked towards center. His voice stays quiet, but the words land like measured weights. Opposing counsel's motion is tactical. They've known about this leak for a week. They bring this on the eve of a key hearing. Meanwhile, Miss Hart has led this case for months. Reassigning now would prejudice the client, if the court is concerned. The narrower remedy is to wall Miss Hart off from any testimony, and from any internal investigation of the leak, not to disqualify her from advocacy. Judge Morales leans back, considering. Her eyes slide to Barnett. Counsel? Barnett hedges. Our position remains. Do you intend to call Miss Hart as a witness? She asks. He hesitates, then disastrously tells the truth. Not if we get what we want without it. A microbeat of silence. He coughs. That is, if the court. Rafe's glance sharpens, and in that instant the room's pressure changes. Not visible, not dramatic. A weather front moving through truth. Judge Morales nods once. Motion denied. Miss Hart will remain lead counsel. She is not to participate in any internal inquiry of the leak. Discovery on this issue may proceed. Court stands in recess until 2. The gavel taps. The sound is small and absolute. My body exhales like someone cut a rope that had braided itself around my lungs. Whitford doesn't meet my eyes as we pack. Barnett does, and what he telegraphs is, next time. I look back at him and send, bring a map I didn't write. We retreat to a side conference room that smells of dry erase ghosts and bad coffee. The door clicks, the noise of the courthouse presses thinly through walls. I set my file on the table. You didn't have to do that, I say. Rafe drops into a chair. I did. Whitford wanted me off the case. He wanted your work without your name. I press my palms to the cool laminate. They leave prints. Evidence that I exist. You went for necessity. Narrow remedy. Nice scaffolding. Yours, he says. You built it in Chapter 2. It's a joke. It's also accurate. That argument about narrow remedies has been a refrain in my head since law review. We run the afternoon game plan. My outline spreads between us, paper constellations. Our heads tilt over the same paragraph. His shoulder brushes mine, incidental the first time, less incidental the second. I smell what I've started to think of as weather, cedar and rain on hot pavement. On the CFO cross, I say, tapping a line, I want to box him into his prior statement at 10:42. Start with the cough? He asks, deadpan. Start with the email, end with the cough. My mouth quirks. We're not building a horoscope. Pity, he murmurs. I was going to predict a victory with a 70% chance of indignation. Only 70. I'm hedging. He's like this now, dry, precise, and, God help me, warm. The corners of him have sanded down without losing the edge. It does something to my sternum. It does something to my balance. About Whitford, I say. Because if I don't put words to the bruise, it will bloom strange colors. He knew what Barnett was doing. He wanted me sidelined. Yes, why? Because he likes the appearance of winning more than the work of it, Rafe says. There is no gloat. Only the gravity of a scale stating its numbers. And because you remind him of a promise he made to himself and broke, that I'd be better? That he would be? The breath I take scrapes. I look at my hands. They're not shaking. Lila, he says, softer, don't let him turn you into a theory he can file away. I snort, the sound ridiculous and necessary. I'm many things. A filing cabinet isn't one. Silence hums between us, the kind that isn't empty but charged, like the air before a summer storm. I rub my thumb over the margin of my outline until the paper warms. His knee is close to mine. My body is doing math without telling me the variables. This thing you are, I say. In court, you didn't push. I didn't have to, he says. Truth was already leaning. I tapped. That's not cheating? Cheating is misdirection. I am direction. Very humble. Very accurate. The laugh that jumps out of me is a little feral. He looks pleased by it, and that makes it worse. Or better. I can't tell. I'm a litigator. Ambiguity is supposed to be a playground. Right now it feels like a cliff. You keep your distance, I say. It comes out half accusation, half study. Even when you're close. That's safety, he says. For both of us. From what? From wanting what we shouldn't in the middle of a war. My pulse does something unhelpful. Define shouldn't. He opens his mouth, then closes it. The mask, a thing I didn't have a word for until last night, cracks. It's small, a fissure near his mouth, but it's proof there's heat under the marble. Lila, he says quietly. We can't. I move before the thought catches up to the act. 1 step, 2. The table edges my hip. His chair slides back a fraction, knees brushing mine. My hand finds his tie as if it were designed for this exact tensile strength. His eyes go wide for a split second, that rarest of eclipses, then his hand is at my jaw, careful, not claiming. I lean in. Our mouths meet. It isn't soft. It isn't the polite version of anything. It is impact and answer, and finally, he tastes like something clean and old, rain in a stone bowl, mint from a glass someone cared to chill, the faintest smoke. His restraint holds for a beat, then surrenders in a shiver. The world zooms until the only coordinates are breath and pulse, and the slide of his thumb near my ear. Heat unfurls under my skin like a banner. Every argument we've had folds itself into this single proof. I am not bored, I am not safe, I am not, God, alone. He breaks first, or I do. We separate by inches that feel like a jurisdictional dispute. I catch my breath and my sanity in the same shaky inhale. What the hell am I doing? I whisper. His mouth is flushed, his tie askew, his voice the husk of something usually composed. Proving a hypothesis? I laugh, and it fractures. Which one? That I'm not the only one who doesn't want to pretend. The room remembers itself. 4 walls, a door, a docket waiting 2 floors up. I step back, drop his tie as if it's evidence I'm not ready to submit. The space between us cools with professional guilt. We can't, I say, now that the we exists out loud. No, he agrees. He swallows. His mask doesn't return, it recalibrates. Not here, not now. And maybe not ever, I say, because I need a safe sentence to stand behind. He nods, accepts a term we both know is non-binding. I'll follow your lead. Then follow me back into battle. I straighten my blouse, my spine, my everything. We win the afternoon. Then we revisit our collective lapse in judgment with appropriate sarcasm. Something like a smile ghosts his mouth. Understood. We gather our outlines and the loose ends of our composure. At the door his hand hovers near my back, not touching, just there. A promise or a perimeter, I can't tell which. Maybe it's both. In the hall the courthouse hum returns, voices, footsteps, Whitford's shape at the far end, a gray serif in a font I've outgrown. Barnett laughs at a joke that doesn't deserve it. I look at Rafe, he looks at me. We are not allies, not enemies, not nothing. We are a strategy. Ready? He asks. I square my shoulders. Watch me. The courtroom is colder than yesterday, or maybe I'm finally not. I set my binder on counsel table, smooth the tabs until they lie like well-trained soldiers, and breathe in lemon polish and the quiet thrill of a day that knows it's ending. Rafe takes the chair to my right, half a step back, a shadow with a pulse. He slides a yellow sticky across the wood. Your show. I don't look at him. I don't have to. Good, I murmur. I've been rehearsing. Judge Morales takes the bench. We're here on plaintiff's motion, and for continued testimony from Mr. Lee, defendant's CFO. Barnett rises, smugness ironed. I stand sharper. Miss Hart, Judge Morales says, nodding to me. I step to the lectern. The wood fits under my palms like a promise. Plaintiff calls Mr. Lee. He's sworn in, eyes shiny as coins. Barnett pats his shoulder as if loyalty could be rubbed in. Good morning, Mr. Lee. I begin. We met at your deposition, you remember? Yes, he says, throat working. We covered the June transfers, I say, flipping to the tab marked 1042 like I'm turning a key. You testified you didn't recall authorizing them. That's correct. I lift Exhibit 83. This is an email you sent at 10:42 a.m. The same day. Subject line approved. You recognize it? He swallows. Yes. You wrote, proceed with the full amount before close of business. Keep this discreet. Barnett shifts. Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered in deposition. Overruled, Judge Morales says, bored of his reflexes. Answer the question. I wrote it, Lee says. The words land heavy. He looks at me like I'm the dentist and he's the tooth. And at your deposition, I say, voice even, you coughed before denying authorization. Do you recall? A flush climbs his neck. I have allergies, of course. I hold his gaze. To what? He blinks, mouth opening. The lie can't find its legs. Counsel, Barnett warns. No further on the cough, I say sweetly, and the gallery smiles like a shared joke. Let's talk about discretion. Keep this discreet. Why? Because rumors hurt markets, he says, or because you knew it violated the covenant you owed my client. I step in 1 inch. You knew the company agreed not to siphon funds in a way that would sabotage operations, correct? Barnett, objection, legal, conclusion, overruled. He can answer. Lee's eyes slide to Barnett, then back to me. There's a beat, small but audible if you know the rhythm of truth. I knew it would look bad, he says. That's not the question. I let the silence hold like a bowl. He squirms. Somewhere to my right the barometer of the room shifts a fraction, a weather front only I notice. Rafe doesn't move. He doesn't need to. Lee exhales. I knew, he says smaller. Yes. The rest is gravity. We walk through the transfers, the internal notes, the board message that reads like a man practicing innocence. Each piece clicks. The picture resolves. When I'm done, the air feels thinner, as if we climbed somewhere. I return to counsel table. Barnett huffs through a redirect that ricochets off the wall and falls to the floor. Counsel, Judge Morales says, closing? Barnett starts with a metaphor that dies of boredom in transit. When it's my turn, I don't bother with poetry. Your Honor, I say, this case isn't about punishing innovation or rewarding paranoia. It's about good faith. It's about whether a party can hollow out a promise and call the shell performance. The evidence says no. The law says no. We ask the court to make no mean something. I could stop there. I don't. And one more thing, I add, turning a second binder. Plaintiff moves for sanctions under the court's inherent authority. We have evidence that the defense received plaintiff strategy materials before filing and used them to tailor their arguments. I lift the exhibit. This is a screenshot showing our brief forwarded from an external party to an associate at my firm, and then, within minutes, to opposing counsel. We've authenticated the metadata. We are not asking to try a friendship here. We are asking the court to protect its own proceedings. Barnett tries for outrage and hits damp. This is baseless. Sit down, Mr. Barnett, Judge Morales says. He sits. She flicks through the exhibit, eyes narrowing. Defense may respond in writing within a week. The court reserves on sanctions. As to the merits, she looks at me, and something inside me steadies, not because I need her but because I earned this. The court finds that defendant breached the implied covenant of good faith, she says. The June transfers were inconsistent with the parties' reasonable expectations. Injunctive relief is granted as requested. Damages will be set for hearing next month. Motion to disqualify Ms. Hart remains denied. Court is adjourned. The gavel taps. The sound is a small sun. For one stunned second, silence. Then the room exhales in sound, murmurs, a gasp, the staccato clatter of people remembering their bodies. Someone in the second row claps, once, involuntarily. It's Jamie. She freezes mid-applause, mortified. Judge Morales lifts a brow. Sorry, Jamie squeaks. I tilt my head at her, mouth, me too, and laugh. It ripples through the front row. Rafe leans closer just enough for me to hear, a smile done in pencil. We'll tell her it was a cough. Seasonal allergies, I whisper back. Very contagious. Barnett is already collecting his pride into a briefcase. Lee stares at the table as if wood could absolve him. I don't look for Whitford. I don't need to. His absence is a mood-lighting choice. Rafe doesn't touch me, but the pride in his eyes is a weight I'm willing to carry. He inclines his head. A private bow. You did it. It lands louder than applause. We file out. In the hallway, stone and glass catch the noise and multiply it. Associates peel off with congratulations. Those who never used my name now saying it like a passcode. Delgado finds me, chin high, eyes bright. That was clean, she says. Beautifully vicious. Thank you, I say, completely gloriously calm. It felt honest. It showed. Her gaze flicks to Rafe. Mr. Hale, good restraint. Thank you, he says, and it's not false modesty. It's credit returned. Back at the firm, the war room has become a party with bad lighting. Someone has smuggled in a box of bakery cannoli as if sugar were a legal remedy. Jamie presses one at me with both hands like an offering to a benevolent dragon. Go on, I say, tearing into the shell. We've earned carbs. In the partners' conference room, navy suits arrange themselves in their natural hierarchy. Delgado presides. Whitford is present, color adjusted to non-committal granite. We'll be brief, Delgado says, and the room quiets. Client is thrilled. The court's order is strong. We'll pursue fees and sanctions. And, she glances at me, the committee met this morning. My heart, treacherous thing, forgets how to count for exactly one beat. Effective immediately, she says. We are promoting Lila Hart to partner. She lets the word hang. It fills every corner. She will chair this matter going forward. Applause. Real this time, sanctioned by the gods of decorum. Some faces are bright, some are resigned, one or two look like they swallowed a lemon peel. Whitford claps, slow and precise, as if measuring each decibel. I manage not to cry, barely. Thank you, I say. I won't waste it. You don't, Delgado says. Mr. Hale? She turns. I assume you'll continue as co-lead on the project as discussed? The room cocks its collective head. Discussed where, when? Rafe's glance finds mine, your show, and waits. It is the most extravagant gift anyone has given me, choice. Yes, I say, voice firm, we co-lead. Balance works, a few brows rise. Delgado smiles, thin and pleased. Then it's settled. Meeting adjourns. People stream out, some to congratulate, some to recalibrate. Whitford lingers long enough to say, congratulations, in a tone that makes the word a neutral solvent. Thank you for your earlier offer, I say, equally neutral. I'm glad the court prefers law to optics. A flick, the smallest flinch. Optics matter, he says. Only when the law is ugly, I say. He leaves before I can see if that lands. The room empties. Rafe and I stand by the window that looks out over a city already gearing for evening. Taxis drawing constellations on concrete. My reflection meets mine, a woman who did not yield. He speaks first, voice easy. Partner? I roll the word in my mouth. It tastes like dark chocolate and late nights, and a door I kept pounding until it opened. Partner. Congratulations, he says. Thank you, I say. For the push I didn't want and the silence I needed. His smile is the real one, the rare one. It was all you. That's not entirely true, I say, and we both let the lie pass, because some courtesies are kindness, not perjury. We stand in the quiet that follows a storm, the air washed, the edges sharp. The thing that happened in the conference room has taken its place in the architecture of us, load-bearing, unspoken. We're not enemies, I say, finally, because the sentence has been building since he walked through my office door. No, he says, we never were. We were. Calibration. Don't make that sound romantic, I warn. It's not, he says deadpan. It's mathematical. I huff out a laugh. Careful. I might kiss you for that. Not here, he murmurs, and the look he gives me lands low and warm. Not now. Maybe later, I say, and the words are a contract I'm not ready to sign but like to see in draft. He nods, satisfied. We turn back to the city. Behind us the firm hums. Ahead of us the project waits like a chessboard, pieces reset for a new game. "You can't beat me," he says, very softly, mouthing back our beginning. "Watch me," I say, smiling. "Funny," he replies, gaze on the glass, on me, on the impossible thing we are making room for. "That's exactly why I want you." The new office smells like fresh paint and ambition. Floor-to-ceiling windows throw the skyline at us like an unedited confession, and the desks gleam as if they know they're about to be buried under briefs and caffeine rings. Our names are on the door together. Hart and Hale, Special Projects Division. It's not official branding, just a brass plate someone in facilities had the humor, or gall, to commission. I haven't decided whether to keep it or sue them. Rafe leans against my desk, sleeves rolled, tie loose, as if the apocalypse of paperwork we inherited is just another weather pattern. He picks up my pen, twirls it between long fingers and smirks. "Your margin notes look like threats." "They are threats." I snap a binder closed. "You'd be amazed how effective they are at making associates triple-check citations. You could try encouragement." I did. It made them sloppy. His laugh is quiet, but it does things to the air. The associates outside probably think we're impossible. CO leads, partners, something more, always sparring. They're not wrong. I stack files, straighten and point at him. "Stop stealing my pens." "Technically," he says, holding it up like evidence, "I'm borrowing." "Technically," I counter. "That's the same defense my 5-year-old niece used when she stole cookies. It didn't work on her either." He places the pen back, deliberate, and lifts both hands. Balance restored. This is us now, not enemies, not exactly allies. Something messier, sharper, stitched together with strategy meetings and late nights and a kiss we still haven't explained to anyone else. The project is brutal, multi-jurisdictional, complex, with enough moving parts to qualify as choreography. But we move through it together. I argue until my throat is raw, he corrects without cutting, and when I threaten to stab him with a highlighter, he tells me I'm radiant. Balance. On a Tuesday night that bleeds into Wednesday morning, we're the last ones left in the office. The city is all neon arteries, the room lit only by desk lamps. I rub my eyes, and he sets a coffee in front of me. Black, no sugar, exactly right. "Careful," I say, wrapping my hands around the mug. Acts of kindness make me suspicious. Maybe I'm trying to earn something. His voice is lighter than the words. "Earn what?" He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he sits across from me, the lamp's halo carving shadows across his face. For once, no smile, no armor, just truth. "I've been doing this a long time," he says, "more lifetimes than I care to count. I always stayed where the balance needed correcting. I left when it didn't. That was the rule. Duty, not choice." I sip the coffee, pulse in my throat. "And now?" "Now," he says, steady. "For the first time in centuries, I'm staying. Not because of duty. Not because of balance. Because of you." The room is suddenly too small for my lungs. I laugh, nervous and feral. "That's a hell of a confession. Appropriate, don't you think?" His mouth tilts. I set the coffee down before I spill it, my voice is dry. "Good. Because I'm not planning to let you win this one either." The silence after is warm, threaded with humor and something I can't name without blushing. He chuckles, soft, and the sound is victory wrapped in velvet. We're still rivals, still sparring, still throwing barbs like darts at a board no one else can see. But now the fight isn't about who beats whom. It's about how to keep the scales balanced between us, sharp and soft, strength and surrender, duty and choice. Outside the city glitters, unbothered by our epiphanies. Inside the balance holds. And for the first time it feels like winning doesn't mean beating anyone at all. It means staying together.